up my sleeve, so that was a lot of gaveling. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'll call into open session this meeting of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees for May 18th, 2017, beginning at 7:08 p.m. Thank you for your patience with us while we finished up a little bit of work this evening, and thank you for being out with us this evening. We're very glad to see you all. We will start our meeting as we always do with our opening ceremony, and if you'd please join John Hibbs in leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oops. Thank you, Mr. Hibbs. Now, if everyone could please take a moment to silence all cell phones and electronic devices to avoid disruptions around you, we'd appreciate that very much. And if you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Due to inclement weather potentially this evening, several of our student performers are not here this evening, so we'll look forward to seeing them at a future meeting and appreciate the time that they have spent getting ready for us. We're looking forward to seeing their presentations. So we'll move into our employee recognition of Tim Mays and Christopher Capot. Dr. Cavazos.
I'd like to welcome Michael Hill to the podium and give us the information about these outstanding employees that we're about to recognize. Mr. Hill.
Thank you. Good evening, President Sullins, Board, and Dr. Cavazos. We're here this evening for a small recognition. Martin High School senior track athlete went unresponsive during track practice on March 16th. Coaches Tim Mays and Chris Capot put their safety training and skills in action, performed CPR on this individual prior to first responders showing up to Martin, and he was transported to the hospital. From our understanding at this point, the student athlete has made a good recovery, and we want to take this time to recognize him. So,
Fantastic, yes. Fantastic. Are they call them up? Yeah. Don't fight over the mic now. You know.
I have nothing prepared to say, but I'm just thankful he's okay. I'm thankful that we were there and had the training and didn't have to think. We just kind of reacted, and so I'm glad that he is okay right now. And so thank you, guys.
Your quick thinking and your action saved a life, and that is something that we are forevermore indebted to each of you. Thank you very much. We're most proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight as well. And we have plaques. Yep.
Let me say something. I'll just say, the passion and commitment that goes into our athletes, I think that's the same thing that we have, and I'm the same thing, just grateful that we had the opportunity to respond in an appropriate way and that it all worked out to the best of our abilities, and obviously that he was blessed to continue on, as a young man and growing, and I saw him today, so we still have a great time, and he's a good kid, so thank you.
Very good. And we have some plaques we'll be down.
Jamie. Yeah, I get it.
Chris, thank you so much for being there and saving a life. I can't even imagine how the parents must feel, but certainly we are very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're going to do a photo.
And as President Sullins is coming back up, let me just say, I've been on this board 9 years, and this is the second time we've recognized employees for doing something like this. Every day you talk about these teachers and coaches have kids' lives in their hands, and they really do at this moment. The whole community is forever grateful, but we know especially one student and their family is even more grateful. We honor a lot of people. This is probably the biggest honor we could ever give. So I just had to take a second. Sorry, Ms. Sullins, I hijacked the mic while you were walking up. It's always a good way when you can't stop me, but
I could
I
have no
remember sitting
complaints
over there.
about
I
that.
remember first year on the board we honored, and Miss Wade was sitting next to me, and I said, no one ever wants to be in that situation, but how amazing when you're put in that situation and you do it. So I just eternally chills on my body the whole time. When I first heard this story, when Coach Wager called me and said, I know you guys hear a lot of negative things. Let me tell you something awesome that happened, and told me this story, and I had to pull the car over to continue the conversation. So chills over my entire body, and I know I speak for all my colleagues as we heard about this and started talking about it. Bravo, men. Bravo. Thank you.
Amen. Well said, Mr. Hogg. I absolutely agree. We'll move now to our appointments this evening. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Sullins, and I'd like to recommend that the board appoint the individual discussed in closed session for area superintendent.
I move for acceptance.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hibbs and a second by Dr. Reich. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees vote in the affirmative. Yes.
Thank you, President Sullins, and I'd like to introduce Ms. Beth Hollinger as our new area superintendent. Beth attended Tarleton State University, received her Bachelor of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies, Texas Wesleyan University for a Master in Ed in Curriculum and Instruction. Most recently, Administrative Leadership Director in Fort Worth ISD, has been a principal, an assistant principal, a curriculum specialist, has taught 4th grade, 1st grade, and kindergarten. Beth, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, President Sullins, and the members of the board, and also Superintendent Cavazos. I appreciate your time tonight and for your vote of confidence. As I'm thinking about tonight, I'd like to also thank many people that have helped me to get here, and a part of those people are my family, Mark, our children, Ryan, Kennedy, and Ethan. And they're quiet for once, yeah. Also, my mother's tucked back in there, Lynn Spicer. And I also have my sister Jennifer and her husband Brian and their sons Sinjin and Jules. And then I have some colleagues and good dear friends of mine, Isabella, and her children, Gustavo and Gabriela, and Aaliyah Hobbs, and also, where are we? Sarah Gillespie. So thank you all for being here as well.
Big crew.
Yes. I did want to mention that I need to give a little bit of support also to Dr. Cavazos. He had told me last week that this process would be very rigorous, and I want to let you know as a board that he did a very exceptional job on being rigorous. So I feel very welcomed and very thorough in making sure that my heart is in the right place, and I know that it is. And then after hearing about a couple of coaches here in Arlington ISD, it's an honor to be a part of Arlington ISD. So also I'd like to share, one of the big pieces with me is transformational leadership, and with transformational leadership comes that support and knowledge about our students, our teachers, our administrators, leaders like myself, leaders all the way down to the classroom and the school board. But with that also comes empowering those individuals, and that's what true transformational leadership is about. So once again, I'd like to thank the board, President Sullins and Superintendent Cavazos, and also I don't want to forget Dr. Wirtz and members of the cabinet. So thank you all for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As is our custom, we would ask that you would follow Mr. Kale out to the lobby and so that we could all come out and meet and greet you, and the board will take a brief break so that we can come out and say hello. Thank you. I'll call this this meeting back into order at 7:26, and now we come to our open forum for agenda items. I don't have any cards for the open forum for agenda items. Is that correct, Ms. Benjamin? Then we'll move ahead to action items. We have no action items this evening, but we do have a discussion action item, A, facility naming. Facility naming is a very special privilege of this Board of Trustees, and one this Board of Trustees takes very seriously. And we have a formal policy and spend a lot of time even thinking about the policy components of making sure that when we put a name on a building, it's going to inspire learners and provide learners, our students, with a real sense of prestige of the work that they are about to do inside that building. We have been fortunate with the bond program that we do have some buildings to name, and with that being said, I have a resolution that I would like to read. Resolution concerning the naming of the Arlington ISD Career and Technical Center. Whereas the Arlington ISD Career and Technical Center will offer state-of-the-art courses in career and technical fields to all district high schools, and whereas the Arlington ISD Career and Technical Center will accommodate 4,800 students every 2 days in programs such as animation, architecture, automotive, biomedical sciences, broadcasting, cosmetology, construction, culinary, hospitality, engineering, entrepreneurship, fire academy, graphic design, health sciences, horticulture, information technology, law enforcement, photography, precision manufacturing, and welding. And whereas in 1972, Dan Dipert purchased a small travel agency and built it into a multi-million-dollar travel and tour business, and is among the safest and most respected motor coach charter operators in the nation. And whereas Dan Dipert was awarded the Mid-Cities Entrepreneurial Achievement Award by the University of Texas at Arlington and the Dallas-Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce in 1995, and the Star Award for the Arlington Chamber of Commerce in 2015. And whereas the Dipert family formed the Dan Dipert Family Fund to benefit Arlington causes and currently supports the Arlington AISD Education Foundation, where Dan helped establish an endowment fund to help students and educators with classroom grants. And whereas Dan served 2 terms as a trustee on the AISD Board of Trustees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Arlington ISD Board of Trustees officially names the Arlington ISD Career Technical Center as the Arlington ISD Dan Dipert Career and Technical Center. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
Ms. Solons, I would proudly make a motion to accept the resolution of naming the Dan Dipert Career and Technical Center.
And I happily and proudly second that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Hogg and a second by Dr. Raj. Is there discussion? Ms. Hudson?
I am privileged and grateful to serve with a tremendous group of people, each of whom has spent many years, some even decades, within the Arlington education community. As a relative newcomer, I do not have the same historical perspective to rely on to take a truly discerning position on this matter before us, and for that reason I will abstain and humbly trust in the institutional wisdom of my colleagues. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Please vote. 6 trustees voting affirmative and 1 abstention. We are very proud to have a name for one of our crown jewel facilities, the Arlington ISD Dan Dipert Career and Technical Center. We we will take about a 10 or 15-minute break. We have some, yeah, oh, well, yes, of course, please, Mr. Dybert. I apologize, yeah.
Thank you. I need a break.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about doing it after the break, but, please, go ahead.
I can't speak. I don't have the words. And that's unusual for me. I've got a lot of words all the time. I can say anything. But I'm speechless. I will think of something later, but I'm trying to compose myself. I just can't believe this. I don't feel like I deserve it. Thank you.
You do.
You do. You do. Thanks for stopping by, Dybert family. Thank you, everyone. We'll call this meeting back into order and move out to our discussion action item B, consider the 2017-2018 Student Code of Conduct. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Sullins. And this evening, we'd like to bring forward as a discussion action item, the Student Code of Conduct. Mr. Hill and Ms. Muldrew have led this wonderful process, and so I'll let Mr. Hill introduce it and be available for questions as well. Michael.
So good evening again, and as Dr. Cavazos mentioned, Ms. Muldrew and her staff did lead the committee through this process to review the Student Code of Conduct. And I've hit the wrong button. There's the right button. And so all of this was driven off of Board Policy AE Local, which states that in our core beliefs that the board believes that the school environment impacts achievement, and that's the basis for which we look through the review of the Student Code of Conduct. So the committee makeup, as you can see, 20 or so people, and there are several others that were on and off, rotating in and out throughout the different meetings. But there's campus administration, central administration, teachers from all three levels, parents and community, as well as students who are on this committee to review. You can see the committee, the names are here for recognition, but for obvious reasons with the weather, I'm assuming that many of them didn't show up tonight, but there's a faithful few that are here, so that's all we need. The committee review process, again, there were 6 committee meetings from February through March, and in those meetings, the committee reviewed the Student Code of Conduct. They gathered stakeholder feedback from their respective areas, made recommendations, discussed, considered those recommendations, vetted them out, finalized those recommendations, and then made a recommendation or presentation to administration. Once we got it, we've reviewed it internally. We've presented it to the Board Governance Committee, and they've had an opportunity to review it. We've actually sent it out to all principals, all of the recommendations, and then we got feedback from all of our principals regarding the recommendations of the committee. Some of the recommendations include, and some of it's very legal, and it's just legal requirements that we have to do, and then others it's kind of what we need to do to operate within the district. Increase the length of the time the district maintains discipline records from students who suspended or other disciplinary actions from 3 years to 5 years. Another one is specify that sniff dogs will work in parking lots and around vehicles on property that are parked on school property. We added the word, or we're recommending adding inappropriate touching as a violation to the Student Code of Conduct. There's a recommendation for safety reasons that PE/athletic footwear be closed at the toe and at the heel and Velcroed and or tied. Recommendation to remove the language that specifies the length of an untucked shirt. That came through lots of discussion there. There's a recommendation to extend the age for truancy from 18 to the 19th birthday in alignment with the change in law. And there's a recommendation to add the word repeated when defining harassment, whether it be sexual or any other type of harassment, to just add repeated to enhance that definition. Other discussions that we had, there was a lot of discussion about head coverings, and there was a lot of discussion about torn pants as well, and the undergarments for, or that are shown through the torn pants. And so administration recommends to the board that you approve this 17-18 Student Code of Conduct as it is printed and make no changes to the sections on head coverings and torn pants. And at that, we'll take any questions or we'll have for discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill.
Thank you.
And certainly a thanks to the Governance Committee as well for your work in this area. Mr. Hogg, I see you
Sure.
leaning in. Yep.
I'd be more than willing to talk. Thank you, Mr. Hill, and specifically, thank you for guiding this, but also thank you to the entire committee.
Yes.
Many years and many student code of conducts that go through. Sometimes there's major drastic changes. Sometimes there's slight tweaks and changes. Every year it's important, and hopefully with this document every year it gets better, and we're constantly updating because while it's a document to us, it is something that drives a lot of students,
Yes.
a lot of parents, and it's unfortunately in place sometimes when you need it in place, and to provide guidance to all of our students and all our staff. So I thank you for that. The Governance Committee, once again, reviewed another policy and document that we've gone through. Seems like that's every week we're pushing something out from our committee. So I just thank all the committee and staff. And Ms. Solons, if there's no other comments, I would be more than willing to make a motion for approval.
There's some,
Yeah, I'll just wait till everyone's done.
Ms. Hudson?
I just have a quick question. Mr. Hill, in the Code of Conduct, there are several places where we reference policy. Are those, when this is published online, are there links to that policy there? Just for ease, for the parents to be able to click that link and see what the policy is?
And that's a good question. I don't know that it is, but that's definitely a tweak that we can make. I mean, our technology allows that.
I think for parents' ease of use, that might be helpful. And then just maybe somewhere in the front, do we give them out printed or is it always just online?
We haven't done the printed version unless requested in several years. It's
2017,
electronic.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. I don't see any other lines. Mr. Hogg?
Thank you, President Solons, and also, Mr. Hill, thank you for that, because I remember when we made the switch to print it, and I think a lot of our principal staff still keep a couple of printed copies in their office, so if anyone asks for it, let me ask, is this also in other languages?
Yes, it's once approved, then we get it under that translation.
Go into the translation?
Yes.
So that it's other languages, I would assume maybe at least Spanish and possibly Vietnamese?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect, because I think that's a critical factor, and that would be available online also?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. And our website is available in different languages, correct? We
The
think?
Student Code of Conduct on the website? Yes.
Well, the whole website. Maybe. We can find
Let
out
me
that,
check-
not
I'll
critical
check
code of
on that, yes.
conduct. At this time, I'd make a motion to approve the student code of conduct as recommended.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hogg and a second by Ms. Hudson. Ms. Mays, do you have a comment or question?
I apologize, it's a little slow on the trigger. I just wanted to hear a little bit of discussion for the specify that sniff dogs will work in parking lots and in the areas around vehicles parked on school property. Well, what's the logistics? Will this be the same as just the random dogs coming into the school? Is it in addition to, is it the same as?
No, it's the same as, but it's just getting more specific in that we do have the authority to, sniff around cars in parking lots. It's probably as a result of something that's happened on a campus, and we felt like this would strengthen up clear communication and let everyone know that we can do that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, everyone have a motion on the floor. Everyone please vote. All trustees vote in the affirmative.
Thank you.
We have a student code of conduct for next year. Thank you so much, Mr. Hill, and to your department for the tremendous work that you do, making sure that we not only have a strong student code of conduct, but it's very easy to understand and to follow. And I know that this work is ongoing all year. So thank you to you and to your entire team.
Thank you.
And certainly to our governance committee that has really been working double time. So next we'll move to our consent agenda. Are there items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda? Then tonight we'll be considering the items listed on your consent agenda. Ms. Powell?
Good evening, President Solons, board members, Dr. Cavazos. We have two bids on the agenda for your consideration this evening, and in both cases, administration recommends the low bid and the bids that represent the best value to the district.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
A motion by Dr. Reich and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All trustees vote in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Ms. Powell. We now move to our discussion item, the 2017-2018 Board of Trustees meeting calendar. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Sullins, and we bring it for discussion, and you've received this in your packet. Next year's board meeting calendar, and it pretty much mirrors the calendar we have today, this year, I should say. And so if there's any considerations, this would be the time we can take those notes, and then we bring it back the next board meeting for action.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. The board will have a 2-week period, till we get to the next board meeting to review this, to see if there's any other recommendations for potential move meetings or so forth. I know one question that comes up often is if there's a conflict with the open houses at Texas Public School Week. And as my understanding that this year that's not the case in this calendar that's proposed. There may be other questions from colleagues. If there's not, then we will move forward. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Cavazos, and the calendar team that put this together for us. And we come to our open forum for non-agenda items. And while we had one card from Linda Dipert to discuss the International Folk Art Market coming to Arlington, they are not here the rest of at this time. So we do not have any other cards. So we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cavazos.
No report. Thank you.
That's fast. School board members with reports. Mr. Hibbs.
Since Ms. Dipert isn't here, I'll go ahead and say it really quickly. We will be having the opportunity, the first city outside of Santa Fe that's going to be having, being able to host the Santa Fe International Folk Art Market at Arlington. There will be participation by some of our students in this. It'll happen on Friday, June 16th. And 17th at the Green at UTA. So I know that Ms. Dipert would really appreciate that to be said. You can buy your tickets online today.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Hibbs. Are there other board members with reports? And I believe that we have some IB students participating with that program, IB art students as well. So that's an exciting opportunity. Mr. Secretary, we have any items to consider this evening?
There were no specific agenda items that we were asking to be brought back outside of the calendar.
Thank you very much. Then it is 7:50 and this meeting is adjourned.